This is Community Close-Up with Jay Dow. Brought to you by Jacoby and Myers, New York's personal injury attorneys.
Welcome to Pix 11 Community Close-Up. I'm your host, Jay Dow. Jury selection is now underway in the blockbuster federal criminal trial of Sean Diddy Combs. What you don't get from so many quick news stories or posts on your social media feed is context about this unbelievably complicated case. We are digging deep into our archives to give you just that, and we recently sat down exclusively with legendary criminal defense attorney Ben Brafman for a discussion about his former client and the criminal case against him. Even for someone with the most ordinary background,
this is the city that made me Diddy, and I want you to see it.
It would be inadequate, perhaps even unfair, to try to sum up their life by focusing on its darkest chapter with a single soundbite.
In case you were wondering what happened to Sean Combs recently.
So for a man with as many names,
Puffy Combs is taking his rap to the radio.
Don't call him Puffy anymore.
Well, P. Diddy playing Big Daddy tonight.
As he has professions.
From music to acting.
He's the man MTV has put in charge of finding the talent for the sequel to Making the Band.
P. Diddy may be famous for his white parties, but the White House?
The question we hear over and over again is, how did Sean Diddy Combs go from wonderkind record producer who put legends on the map?
You know if the time is right, I don't wanna fuss and fight.
From Mary J. Blige to the late Biggie Smalls.
Your hands in the air if you's a true player.
End up an accused felon, facing federal criminal charges for sex trafficking and racketeering.
Including using force and coercion to get his alleged victims to perform sex acts.
Now developing at this hour, music icon Sean Diddy Combs behind bars, arrested by federal agents last night in New York City.
Sean Combs currently sits in a federal jail. Jury selection on the calendar for a blockbuster trial.
If convicted on these charges, P. Diddy faces life in prison.
If you followed Combs' career, you know there have been plenty of peaks and valleys. Someone who started from the bottom.
Just trying to get an internship from, Russell Simmons, Leo Cohen, Andre Harrell, and I was calling them, and, they wasn't taking my call.
Persistence that ultimately paid off. Diddy, in terms of his influence on hip-hop culture, was its first mogul, who was both flashy and business savvy.
As part of the deal, Puffy acquires his company, including the complete artist roster and the entire catalog.
A force of nature who paved the way for modern-day multi-hyphenates who look like him to be able to step into fashion.
We're launching Sean John Boys.
And onto the stage with confidence and bravado.
Playing his part in Raisin in the Sun on Broadway.
Diddy stood tall in his native New York.
P. Diddy Combs has unveiled the biggest billboard ever to hang in Times Square.
As corporate America embraced him.
We trying to do positive things.
For his philanthropy.
You gave a little money away today too, didn't you?
We gave $5,000 away.
And for being a man who kept his ear to the streets while building a billion-dollar brand. About those valleys, the road bumps in Combs' career.
And Puff Daddy could face prison time if he misses one more court appearance in the Hamptons.
Including the 1999 gun charge that almost derailed his career.
Puff Daddy, anything you want to say to your fans?
A case documented with vigor among his fans and within the media.
A couple and a bodyguard came running out of the club. Fenton says P. Diddy ordered him to speed away from the scene.
Diddy was acquitted and went on to enjoy a nearly unrivaled career that soared for the next 2 decades, until allegations of abuse and assault surfaced in 2023 from Cassie Ventura, his longtime partner and singer on his record label. Allegations which snowballed into a blockbuster federal case. Now, as Combs prepares for trial, there are open questions about what will be his legacy when the dust settles. Joining me now is Sean Diddy Combs' former criminal defense attorney, Benjamin Brafman. Ben, thanks for being here. Want to point out that you are not representing Sean Diddy Combs in his existing current federal criminal case, but you, more than so many people, have a lot of experience dealing with Combs as a criminal defendant. You were instrumental in getting his acquittal in that 1999 gun case. So I want to ask you first, what do you make of the government's strength in this case compared to when you represented him 26 years ago?
Well, 22 years ago, 25 years ago, it was the trial of the decade, primarily because of who Diddy was. The charges were quite common, but, you know, because of his status as a major celebrity, that case was an interesting experience for me, and it was a media frenzy. I think the case today is a lot different. The charges are substantially more serious, and the gun case, which turned into a gun and a bribery case, you know, it was what it was. It took 8 weeks. The jury acquitted him of everything, and he turned out to be, as I predicted he would be, one of the most successful African-American entrepreneurs of our time, and maybe even in the history of the world.
Well, a successful entrepreneur regardless of race. I mean, he's a billionaire.
Right.
What do you make of the fact that although he's charged with racketeering conspiracy, right now he is the only accused conspirator in this case?
Well, that's quite common in federal court. The fact that they charge a conspiracy does not require them to name as a defendant every person who they're going to claim was a member of the conspiracy. Many people are unindicted co-conspirators in many criminal conspiracy cases, certainly in federal court. That relaxes the rules of evidence a little bit, charging a conspiracy. But the fact that he's going to be the only person sitting at the table, you know, that's the way they decided to proceed.
Do you believe that there are other former employees or other associates who could be compelled to testify against him?
I think when you read the indictment, it's clear that they have been compelled, or maybe some of them didn't have to be compelled. There's a lot of suggestion in the indictment that former employees were themselves abused in one way or another. If these allegations turn out to be true, you know, those people may have decided that they prefer to testify.
You're a seasoned attorney. I want your opinion on what is the key to the defense in getting him off, and then what is the key to the prosecution's case?
I think the prosecution case needs to prove what's charged in the indictment, and the indictment charges serious allegations. If those allegations turn out to be true and supported by the evidence, then it's going to be a tough case to defend. I think one of the sad parts, in my opinion, of what happened to the defense team is that maybe the best team member, Tony Rico, who I think is really a great trial lawyer, I mean, he's no longer part of the team. It's my understanding that, you know, he just decided he didn't want to have anything more to do with the case for, you know, a variety of reasons. But I think he was a tremendous asset that they lost.
Ben Brafman, we're going to have to leave it there. Thank you so much for being with us.
My pleasure.
Coming up, turning a drowning tragedy into hope during National Water Safety Month. Stay with us.